Good afternoon, preppers. Welcome to Goshen Prepping. There's a few things in the news that have taken place in the last couple of days, and I want to go through these because what I find when it comes to the news, there's more there than meets the eye. And of course, stay to the end. I save the best for the last. All right, start off with the FAA. I'm sure you know about the problems that occurred with the airlines that actually happened. A ground stop. And this ground stop wasn't like the ground stop in 9/11 in which they basically halted all flights and made them all land wherever they were at. No, this one simply was just no more departures. Planes get your destinations, but no more taking off. And it was actually, turns out, a massive computer problem in their NOTAM system. Now, NOTAM, I mean, honestly, it used to be called Notice to Airmen, but now it's Notice to Air Missions, being a little bit more politically correct. That system, when it comes to flight, is to let the pilots know of any type of hazards or closures. Maybe there's an air show, Air Force One, et cetera, is in the area. So anything that pilots need to be aware of that literally could be a hazard for the pilots or the planes or the people on board. And that system crashed. A catastrophic system failure, which in itself is obviously seriously problematic. But again, that's not the only problem. There's more here than meets the eye. Because when that happened, I was even thinking, do I need to make a video about this or talk about it? But then I started getting reports, emails, and comments. And I'm telling you, from a whole bunch of followers of the channel, they said at the exact same time that was happening, military aircraft were being scrambled. Now, up where we're at, we don't have a lot of military aircraft that can scramble in that area. But of course, a lot of the followers around the country are. And I mean, this happened all over. I can't tell you how many emails I got. I got a bunch. So numerous followers of the channel had the same report, military aircraft scrambling. Now, if you ever heard a military aircraft scramble, they're loud as it is just taking off. But when they actually take off, sometimes with afterburners, they get up in the sky very quickly. It's exceedingly loud. And on top of that, they'll often do things like break neighborhood windows. And I'm not saying I've heard any of those cases kicking in, but I actually have heard from numerous people that the military aircraft being scrambled. Of course, I haven't seen any of this in the news, which makes me think what's really going on here. And of course, the FAA simply says, we don't know what's happening. It's just not a cyber attack. That was all they said. But honestly, we may never know what's going on here. Well, you know how it works. Like in 5 years, we'll actually see like a little sniglet in a newspaper saying that they finally figured out what actually caused the problem. But either way, for the fact that military aircraft may be involved in this makes me even more interested. It piqued my interest. So I'm going to ask you, especially many of you around the country as well, is that what you witnessed? Are you around a military base? Did you see military aircraft during that time take off? Put in the comments below. I'm very curious to see if that's the case. Now, also news about gas prices. They're on the decline. Or are they? I mean, they say they are. They say the gas prices are going down. I noticed here in Michigan, gas prices actually have gone up a little bit in the last couple of weeks. And even more so, if the trends continue, they say gas prices are going to come up substantially, significantly in May as we get towards summer. But right now, they say it's expected to drop. Is that good news? It would be, except unfortunately, they're switching it, and actually diesel prices are now on the rise. Seriously, they're on a big rise. And of course, that's bad news for all of us when we actually like to buy, everyday goods, including food and stuff, because it's simply just going to cause the prices of things to go up. It's only going to worsen the difficulty Americans are already experiencing. And it is. There's so many right now who have no savings, are living paycheck to paycheck, or even on credit, trying to feed their families, which obviously is really bad news when it comes to that. Look at this. This is from oilprice.com. Traders are betting on a diesel shortage. It says markets have grown increasingly tight. Yep, we know about that. There's an embargo with Russia. We know about that. But look at this. It says there's not enough refining capacity in the U.S. or Europe to respond to the demand. So what can fix this? Only a demand destruction can save the market. A demand destruction. Further in the article, meanwhile, the silver lining of all the bad economic news reports that marked the last quarter of 2022 appears to lower the diesel use. A decline in manufacturing activity and freight transport in response to rising fuel prices has led to a decline for the demand of fuels. Of course it did. This last paragraph, production remains to be the big problem. Traders appear to be betting on a continued tight supply because of this. There is simply not enough refining capacity in the U.S. or Europe to ramp up production fast enough to respond to the demand levels. That's why when we go back to the top of the article, the only thing that can actually save the market is I'll say it again, demand destruction. This is terrifying. Literally, because the oil prices are out of control, diesel prices are out of control, the only thing we can see is a demand destruction. In other words, some type of collapse, some type of economic collapse, the shutting down of America and the closure of businesses. That's what they're saying. That's the only thing that's going to save this. So it is coming, and it's going to get serious. And again, I'm going to make videos about this very soon. Now, the last thing I want to address is the Fed's claim inflation is dropping. And it's down to 6.5%. First off, I don't believe it. That would be good news if it's true. Personally, I don't see it. They claim everything will return back to normal by 2024. The thing is, if inflation is dropping, but interest rates continue to rise, as they are, by the way, consumer spending will decline. Because, remember what we saw in the diesel article, demand destruction, the economy could easily slingshot and send us into a second Great Depression. In fact, I bet money that's what's going to happen. So much stagnation and lack of spending, it could easily and probably will collapse the entire economy. Because remember, consumer spending is not what causes inflation in the first place. I'll put a video on the end of this that explains that. It's not about consumer spending like they want you to believe. It's government overspending. And of course, government overspending continues. I don't care where inflation's at right now. It's not because of consumers. It's because of the government. As they blow money, we get the shaft. In consequence, we can't afford simple food items, simple things to make our lives work. While the government continues to print and spend money like it's going out of style without a care in the world. So in the long run, that's really bad news. The government, in the end, tries to make it look like they care. Oh, like they're the hero. But it's them causing it in the first place. No better time than now. We need to prepare. Because the way things are going, in my opinion, an economic collapse is inevitable. And I don't see anything turning around, at least not anytime soon. How about you? I'd like to have your input on this as well. Especially, guess what? The presidential election comes up next year. And amazingly, mysteriously, catastrophic things often happen around this election time. All right, so either way, we need to be ready, and it's time to get prepared.